Hey y'all. All right, we're back in the garage again. Out here to do another video. Um, just real quick. Got the 318 here around. Okay, got the 318. Now let me explain something. I'm not pulling the timing chain off right now. It desperately needs to be changed out. But I have a cam for this engine, and one of these intakes is going to go on this engine. So there's some big plans for this engine. Okay, there's some big plans for the $50 318. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is set this Magnum timing cover on here, and put a couple of bolts in it and get that all started. But let's see. Oh, one thing I want to stress to you all: when you are removing the harmonic balancer, okay, show you something here. When you're removing the harmonic balancer, you're going to want to take the bolt loose, of course, break it loose, and then back it out all the way. Take the washer off, this big washer that was on this bolt. Take it off, thread the bolt back into the hole to where it's just sort of like that, okay? All right, it won't get hung up on the harmonic balancer at all. See, here we go. It does not get hung up on the harmonic balancer, so it won't be a problem. The reason I say this is you need something in there to keep the pushing bolt in the harmonic balancer removal tool, to keep from like damaging the threads inside this crank right here. Okay, so that's what you need to do. So that's what I do. As a matter of fact, you can kind of see the center of that bolt right there. It's got a little shininess there in the center. That's what happened. So, all right, let me put a couple of bolts in that, and it doesn't have to be anything special. And I might put, yeah, here we go. Yep, here we are. Okay, this goes like through the water pump and everything. I better not. Okay. Tell you what, I'll be right back. Okay? Okay, y'all. Here we go. I got a couple of bolts thrown in this timing cover. As you can see, stuff is lining up. Bolt holes are lining up. You see. Yeah, I just got a couple of bolts in it, so it's not like, I mean, I want to get an idea or a feel for how that thing is supposed to go together. So that's what I'm doing right there. So, if I can find it, there's another bracket that goes on right here. Okay. That'll give me a little better idea about everything. Be right back. Okay, here's the other piece I was talking about. This is the other brace. This bolts on like right here. Right there, right there, right there. So I'm gonna remove this bracket right here from the throttle return cable. And this bracket right there. I think when I do that, I can get Okay. That bolt back in there. It's an intake manifold bolt, so don't want to lose that. Okay. Go. So that temp sensor, got a temp, an old style temp sensor there in the way. So that's going to have to come off. Let me put this bolt down here real quick. Now, I will just go ahead and tell you right now, lots of times these old temp sensors like this, lots of times they are not very compatible with anything. They don't like coming out. So, let's see. 15, 16, it's a little too big. We'll step down. Maybe 7/8. Yeah, I can tell this sucker is. Let me pause this. I'll be right back. I can't believe it. I'm actually getting the thing broke loose and it's turning. Like amazing. I had no idea this thing would. Most of the time these things just break off and that's it. But this one actually came out. Holy crap. Okay. Alright, let's proceed here. So, let's see. Okay. Wow. Okay. Put a couple bolts in this real quick and I'll show you a little bit more. Okay, y'all, we're back and got this plate on. The AC compressor would sit right here and then the alternator would sit right here. As a matter of fact, I've got an alternator laying right here, so you can see that's where it would go, right there. Okay. I know the, let's see. I'll just set the dipstick tube right there. As you can see, this is how the alternator would sit on there. This particular alternator, it's hard to do this one-handed, but yeah, there's a bolt that goes in through here, into the head. Let's see, do I have that one? AC compressor's going, or air compressor's going right now, so I'm going to need it here in just a minute. Let me pause this. I'll show you a little bit more. Okay, y'all. Air compressor stopped running. It's filled up. It's done its thing. So, now I want to show you something. Got the alternator hanging on there. That's just a bolt I just threw in there, so it's not a big deal. This is all mock-up anyway. These two bolts here, this one and this one, are fitting really good. Now, however, when we come over here and we look at these bolts, it's a little different story. You see the misalignment there? Yeah, you know what's causing all that? I'll show you. This little culprit right here, called the thermostat housing. Now, on the intake I'm using, which is like this one here, except cleaner and not so rusty, this one also has the thermostat housing right in the way. So, what is somebody to do about that? What can you do? Well, I have a couple of ideas. 2 ideas. I'm going to give you the most unlikely one. The most unlikely one is to make some sort of spacers or brackets that basically would bolt onto this portion of the timing cover, and they would just basically come up, and then this would just be jacked up a couple of inches off of the intake manifold right here. So that's one idea. That's not a great idea, but it's an idea. Second idea. Second idea would be to just do this. Simply leave, not make those brackets like I said, but to cut this right here and this portion here, okay? Just cut them to where this part can sit down further on here. And then it can line up with these bolt holes here. Okay? Now, you might be thinking that would greatly compromise the strength of this piece. It does to some degree. And if we're talking like, you know, something that's going to see a lot of really hard use, yeah, it might be a problem. If it's something that's not seeing a lot of hard use, I don't think it's that big of a deal. So, there you go. Furthermore, I think those aluminum welding brazing rods, basically, I think somebody could like take a piece of aluminum and make a hoop right here that would allow the bolt, the bolt and the housing to be here. Now I'm probably going to modify a housing like this right here, or I'm going to modify a Magnum thermostat housing, and it's going to be tilted back, or or it's going to have an angle that's going to come over this way. I don't know. Or maybe an angle that's going to come over this way here. I don't know. So that's still all in the future. I know this is supposed to be right here, but my dipstick tube is right in the way. So there you go. The Magnum dipstick tubes, they actually, which I have one, they actually bend over this way a little bit, so it's not that big a deal. They clear this here. No, wait a minute. They go over here. That's right. They go over here. So the Magnum ones, they come over here, which clears that problem altogether. Which I may have to do that on that 318 right there, just to get that all out of the way. So I can continue mocking things up. But for now, I'm relatively happy with what's going on here. Okay, I mean, yes, I've had a couple of little snags, but they're small snags. They're not like something that's just ginormous. And I know some of y'all are thinking, wait a minute, what about this brace right here? Where are you going to do that? What are you going to do about this? Because this attaches to that big beer barrel intake. Well, I'm not using the beer barrel intake, or beer keg, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to take this, and I'm probably going to modify it, or I'm just going to make another one altogether, which may be easier, out of some flat bar stock, and just come down here and attach to this bolt hole right here in the intake manifold, which the 4-barrel has that right there too. Okay, so see, basically the basic layout of the 4-barrel and the 2-barrel is not dramatically different. Okay, there is some differences, but there's not a lot. So there we go. I was going to pull this 2-barrel intake off, and then I got to looking at the two of them, and I was thinking, wait a minute, there's not a great deal of difference between the two of them. So there you go. But this is necessary. All of this is necessary in order to carry on with this engine. Okay, so the 360, has to have this. The 318 has to have this work done to it so that I can, modify this stuff, like cutting this here and making this new bracket and doing all of these little things so that I can fit these parts onto the 360. And for those of you who don't know, I'm putting the Magnum style serpentine belt setup on the 360, LA 360, so that I can do all of that. And you might be asking, wait a minute, what about a power steering pump? Well, hold for just 1 minute, please. Okay, now here I've got a power steering pump, and it's got the bracket for the Magnum style accessory setup here. Now, in the LA heads, you only have this one bolt right here, which I'm using right now. The Magnum has 3 or 4 bolts in it. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go and I'm going to have to make a bracket that's going to pick up those 3 unused bolt holes. Well, the 3 holes here that are unused. See that one back there, this one, and this one. So those 3 holes are being unused right now. I'm thinking of making some sort of metal plate bracket that will bolt to them back here, okay? And it will run down and it will attach to here, okay? Or here, maybe both. And what I'm going to do is it's going to be supporting the power steering pump like that. I know it's not the best situation, but I don't have any Magnum heads. I don't have any Magnum stuff. And so this is how I'm going to make it work. You might say, well, that's not what I would do, but hey, okay, that's fine. I might even tie into the engine, one of the engine mount ears, because I think one of these ears is unused. See, right there. So, I think if I do that, maybe tie into these 2 front timing cover bolts, and that engine mount ear, the higher one, the one higher up on the side, I think I can make that a pretty stable piece. And not only that, I want to do this. So, I want to use the LA engine with the Magnum serpentine drive setup, and that's going to get me, and just so everybody knows, just so everybody's on the same page, the truck has a Magnum engine in it. And you might say, well, just leave that Magnum engine in there and soup it up. Well, that's a great idea, except for two things. One, that Magnum has got 358,000 miles on it. If you don't believe me, I'll show you the odometer. And it's also a V6. Yep, that's right, the 3.9 liter V6. So, and just so those of you who might be skeptics and might be sitting there saying, he's probably rebuilt it 3 times or something like that. It's never been rebuilt. The worst thing I've had to do is had to pull the intake off and reseal the bottom of that beer barrel or beer keg intake. So, that's that. And the AC on this truck still works. Yeah, this is the truck in question. AC still works, the power steering still works. The serpentine drive setup on the front is just, it's it's great. I mean, there's like, I can't really find any issues with it. No faults. So, I'm going to replace a couple more valve springs. Alright. So, get this off of here. Oh, it's hung up. Okay. Alright. But I would like to go ahead and take this time to thank you all for subscribing and subscribing to my channel, and it's greatly appreciated. So, and if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting on? I mean, come on. So, let's get this all opened up here. Here we go. Got these valve springs ready to go. Cleaned, lubricated. I mean, you can see a definite difference here. See, stock, aftermarket. You can see this one. Yeah, okay, yeah. I should have been, like, thinking about that ahead of time, but you know what? We all goof up, and okay. So, there's my goof up. Alright, now I've already made a video about this. If you want to see more of this, that's great. I'll show you some more of it. But I got to get to work on this. I want to get like 1 or 2 cylinders done, and it's getting late. So I thank you all so much for watching. I seriously appreciate that. You know, you all are great. You really are. You're subscribing to this channel. It's just, you know, and the wonderful comments. It's really the positive, wonderful comments. You know, really like that. I love that interaction between us. You know, and it's just really great. So, thank you very much for watching. And if there's any questions you may have about any of these videos, you know what to do. You're smart. Put it down there below. I'll do my very best to answer your questions and do my best there. So thank you very much, and God bless. And thank you for all the likes and the shares and the subs. Have a great one.